Oh, we never talked about why frankincense and myrrh. All right. Good. Talk about that. Okay.
Okay.
Myrrh. Okay. Everybody in your bag, frankincense is the yellowish resin and myrrh is the darker reddish one. What does that mean to us as herbalists immediately? That's something that's reddish. It's probably good for the circulatory system, and that's a major theme of myrrh. This frankincense, which is really yellowish, they say is like the teardrops of the sun. It's my favorite description of it.
Teardrops of the
Okay.
sun.
So I'm gonna pass around. So the myrrh is in your bag. I'll pass around just the myrrh resin. So here we're talking about a resin.
Mhm.
You can smell it. It smells like it tastes. It doesn't really change. So now we're talking about resin, these gummy exudates from trees, right? These are harvested by cutting the bark. And the plant oozes out these resin as like a tree band-aid, right? It just so happens that it's good for us. Like when we were in Long Pine, we saw all the pine resin. That's just the tree parts that were either cut to the bark or branches broke off. So tree resins are these really cool substances that share a lot of similarities. So let's get into myrrh. I have been geeking out on myrrh because I've been really excited about it for years, but really geeked out on it.
So ancient.
Okay. So we have frankincense and myrrh. Okay, so just. We can cover all this in a short time. So I want to do our tea. Let's pass around some of this tea. So Rach, do you want to do, what ones do you have here?
You decide what you feel inspired to talk
Okay.
about. So we got the goji.
So if you're really sensitive, just take like a little, just a little sip of it. Okay, so what we did was we made myrrh some different ways. So traditionally myrrh is usually made, often you will just eat the resin. It tastes, you can actually, believe it or not, your dentist won't like it, but the resin that's going around, you can chew it, it's actually soft. Do you want to pass that? Oh, I'll show you something cool. How the resins would have been used in ancient times is very easy, right? When you see all those old Roman movies and stuff. Right, so you just take a little piece of resin. These are tree resins, right? You're just gonna light them on fire. And that's a good one, right? It should light pretty quick. Just that way. It's got a good sign of quality. Right? You can smell it. Well, usually it burns like this. This is a little piece of frankincense. A little better frankincense, right? The second you write a resin, it just starts burning. This is like when you see all the ancient, all the Greek and Roman movies of all the stuff that's burning all the time and like the temples and it's just resin. They're just burning resin. Okay. So you can do, by the way, this does not stop. Herbalist learning curve 101. First house I ever had. I had like thought I was being really creative. I was trying to fumigate my basement for mold and or mildew. And I took a pop can, like a tin can, set upside down where the bowl is. Put a bunch of myrrh resin in there, lit it on fire, doing great. So I tried to like got so smoky you couldn't stand it, and then it like ignited in flames. And then I like couldn't get it to go out, and then I kicked it and like all the resin spilled on the floor. I could not get it to go out. So and luckily I got it out eventually, but and luckily I only had like about a half a cup's worth. So these resins are very flammable. this is like what they would have had on torches, like the pine resin and long pine, that's how you would make a torch. You would just take that resin and coat the outside of a stick and you light that sucker on fire, it's gonna burn for a long time. So ancient people really did have resins and torches, right? It's not just a Scooby-Doo thing. So myrrh is to me, one of the herbs that has never really been unlocked. Meaning, when you see something that shows up from the beginning of writings, this is one of the few herbs that traces all the way through written records. The Sumerians, the Egyptians, all the early ancient Greek and Roman, the Bible, every book has myrrh. Every writing has myrrh. No matter where we're at in Europe or the Middle East or Egypt or Asia, it's been used in China too. This is one of the original Silk Road trading things too. So this is remember, we've lived in a multicultural world for a really, really long time. So myrrh is one of those herbs to me that has just, the potential is really unlimited. It's super unlimited. So its nature, let's pass them around first. So what we did was I made, is this which one's the honey one?
You got.
That's the straight up one. Okay. So I'll pass this around. This is, right? Yesterday, I decocted this, just myrrh and a muslin cloth. We just decocted it all day at work. And it turns into this. Okay, now this is tea, but it's strong. Resins are a stronger group of plants. So I'm gonna pass them along. Even if you just want to take a little, just put it on your tongue to get the taste. If you're sensitive, that's probably all you want to do. But you can also rub this on your hands and you'll see why it was used in embalming immediately. In funeral practices. Just take a couple drops, put on the back of your hand and you'll be amazed, it will coat it until you rinse it off. Let's pass it around. So this is myrrh decoction of all day. Why are we doing this? Because no one's doing this. We need to do this. It's not written about a lot, right? Smells. This is the honey one, or is this the regular?
That's a honey one.
Oh, this is the honey one?
Yes.
Oh, we started with the wrong one. Sorry. So this is the honey one.
That
Okay.
you did decoct though all day. This was the
Yeah.
all day decoction.
So this is, I made a simple honey. So we decocted myrrh all day. We did our simple honey ratio. Right, so we did 1 cup of the decocted tea. And we did 1 cup of honey to make a simple syrup, right? So the honey cuts it. Why do we want to have honey with myrrh? What's that? It's a preservative, but myrrh is going to kill about anything. But it would preserve it, but it kind of mellows it out. But what it also does is when we use resins, what we see from the historical record is they're always taken with fats. Like we would make a salve out of it, or we would soak it in wine and add honey, or they were eaten with fatty foods. So there's some hints there. So I just wanted something to make it more pleasant. So this is your entry into the world of myrrh. Okay. So is this do you want to pass a shot of these around straight up? Because that's not honey. That's just decoction.
No.
Okay.
That was gonna be a maybe over time, that's pure.
So this that I'm passing around, you can, if you want some extra, pour on your hand. This is cold decoction.
Overnight.
So we made a hot decoction and I just threw it in the refrigerator overnight. So it's like a hot cold. Different color, right? Different smell. But you can take a little shot of it, or you can just put this on your body. You will see again what it was used for embalming.
The honey one, was that one, hot?
Yes.
Hot decoction all day. Yeah, very long. So this is like, you can see why this is used to embalm. And by the way, I went to the gym the other day and did this, and I couldn't figure out what was giving me weird faces. Smelled like frankincense.
And myrrh.
I had it all over my
Myrrh.
face and hands and everything. You know, how good that feels on your hands. The hot decoction is even gooier and stickier.
It kills about everything.
It kills about anything, it preserves the skin. Highly researched for skin cancer, by the way. One of the most researched things for skin cancer is myrrh. We'll talk about. Feel that coating on your hands.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just cold decoction.
This is cold decoction. So this is actually just the water soluble parts. Imagine if we had like a salve, right? That would have a lot more of it.
Oh, yeah, it feels really cool.
It's very like restorative to skin. By the way, we need to make like, just to like fund nonprofits, we need to make like some kind of skincare line, because somebody could see that. All these real, actual, natural things. Okay, does anybody want more to just play with and to make yourself really sticky? Yeah, I'll pass this around. Want to pass that back? And anybody can take a bunch home to play with it. Do not put this in your bathtub. Because this resin is gonna like coat everything. If you're gonna make resin teas or tinctures, you know, you want to have a separate container because they're probably gonna coat everything a little bit. Okay, so let's at least cover the basic energy. So the energy of myrrh is warm, drying, astringent, it's bitter, and it's a sacred plant. I'm gonna actually make some with this. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so a couple things, we're just gonna kind of get the warm up, I think, of myrrh here. Okay. What's everybody think? What do you feel from it? It's very warming. It is a good herb for respiratory mucus. We'll find out asthma, breathing difficulties.
Can you drink this too, or just?
You can drink a little bit. Yeah, it's safe. This is kind of intense. Though. Just a little intense. Okay. So this enters the heart meridian, the small intestine, a large intestine, and the liver. 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 Yep. So it has a lot of properties. You ready for this? It's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, analgesic, meaning it's pain relieving. It's a lymphatic. It's a mucosal tonic, meaning it soothes all of our mucous membranes, it coats them, right? It's anti-parasitical, which is a really hot area of research right now. It's liver protective. And it's a circulatory stimulant. So it's a very, and it's also anti-fungal, anti-candidal. In Chinese medicine, we say it breaks up masses breaks them apart. Tumors, fibroids, cysts, intestinal masses, right? Very important nerve. And it also moves blood stagnation. Okay. Okay, there's over three, oh, what's that question?
That would be good for our baby.
That's really good. Topically, I'm gonna need a lot more time next week. So this is like a whole class in itself topically has like hundreds of uses. And we'll get to all of them. But yes, we use it for cysts topically too. That's very, very effective for liphomas and cysts and tumors and ganglion cysts and Baker's cyst and all the same. Okay, so this plant is a chemical hotbed, over 300 known biologically active compounds. Okay. It's kind of broken into three main categories. We have a comifloin. Comifloin. AC. This is where a lot of the immune anti-cancer properties come from. We have these sesquiterpenes, which is where a lot of the immune anti-cancer properties come from. And then we have an important compound called glucosterones. This is where all of the cholesterol, heart disease. So if you have like blocked arteries, this is one of the herbs that you can actually help to reverse that with. There's not a lot of herbs that have been shown to reverse plaque. This is one of them. I've even seen saw this one old lady, she was in her late 70s, early 80s. Had severe atherosclerotic plaque, had a bunch of strokes, heart attacks, and the only reason they didn't do stents was it was just too risky. But she was at like a risk of dying. It was like 90% blocked or clotted. So 1 year of taking Myrrh, it like went down to 40% blocked.
Wow.
I mean, we just did like one capsule, I think once or twice a day. It wasn't like a major amount. MRI and whatever that is, the ultrasound to like document the percentage. Pretty cool. Right?
Is Myrrh better in capsules or?
So Myrrh is probably best used out of capsule. Yeah. Because if you chew it, it's going to get all over your gums, teeth, it like coats your teeth. Which is helpful, but it just doesn't look good for Americans, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. A lot of the anti-inflammatory compounds are coming from these. Can you know what herb shares this similar chemistry and botany? This should give us a key glucosterones. Remember we talked about Google resin? So this Google resin and Myrrh are very closely related. We have to remember this when we're doing research because oftentimes they're used interchangeably, even though they're quite a bit different. Same way with frankincense that we'll talk about next week. As boswellic acids. What else? What other tree resin that's super popular has boswellic acids? Very popular, just called boswellia. Boswellia. Boswellia resin. So frankincense and boswellia are actually extremely closely related. They're sometimes interchanged. Google and Myrrh are very closely related and sometimes used interchangeably, even though to us they're different. Okay. Just a little FYI, when you're doing a lot of research, it gets kind of confusing sometimes. Because people that are writing articles sometimes don't know that and just kind of misuse terms.
Would you kindly spell those as you're writing? So it's COMMIPHOIN.
Yep,
Okay, A-C.
you'll get these in notes, by the way.
Okay, just onliners are requesting
Yeah.
you to. I just, and then SES.
Yep, you want to zoom in on that.
I did zoom.
SQUITURPN. These will be in your notes.
Okay.
It's just too hard to spell out some of these things.
Thank you.
Boswellic acids you put in your notes. Okay. Okay. So why? First of all, what did everybody feel from that resin? Oh, we got one more treat to pass down for Christmas. Felt it in your stomach. Anywhere else?
They're sort of stuck in the tongue.
Tongue. Where else? Hearts. Yeah. It's good for the heart. It's good for the stomach. I mean, is even holding it right?
No, just.
Oh, yeah. Now these you can just shoot. This is my special solstice little thing. So this is a decocted and mashed goji berry for your kidneys for the solstice. All right. Delicious. Do you have more? You want to use it all?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really more. So I just took goji berries. And if you make a tea out of them, they don't really do much, so it's kind of like wimpy compared to eating them. So a couple of months ago, I decided we should just mash these suckers. So you just get a strainer and mash them, and then it just turns into like juice. It's like delicious. So it's just a way to get more bang out of your butt, because the water doesn't, it's like a raisin, the goji berries, so it just doesn't penetrate very deeply. I think you have goji berries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got some goji berries for your kidneys.
Your kidneys, one for each.
You have another shot? Anybody wants extra shot? Okay, so maybe to end, why frankincense, gold, and myrrh? So many different reasons why, right? To me, there's like a way that makes sense of all of it and really conforms to like all the ancient writings of different cultures, not just one culture. Why in the story, the Christmas story, why would there be gold, frankincense, and myrrh? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Why was that? Was it such a peculiar gift from wise people, right?
Gold because he was a king, myrrh because of the crucifixion, and frankincense because he was a priest.
Okay,
Oh.
well,
Can you,
For embalming.
you weren't supposed to just
Yeah.
make that so
you need to
make it
repeat
more
that.
complex than that, so. Yeah, so myrrh is historically and in biblical times, going way back, is a symbol of death, the body, and also later would be like a symbol of the crucifixion also, right? And it's recorded that myrrh soaked in wine was offered right before the crucifixion too. It's interesting. I also didn't know they crucified, when people were crucified, I didn't know they speared in the spleen, which I'm still processing that. That's so weird. Like of all organs to jab, it's kind of like a weird one to jab. It's like your most earthly one because it's the first element, so it's just weird. So myrrh gonna be a symbol of basically death of the physical body, but it's more of a symbol that divinity has came into like human flesh. That's what a lot of the old writings we talk about. That makes sense. And myrrh is really representative of the blood too, right? Because it is all about the blood. Okay. Myrrh also moves the blood, so it's also like a symbol of moving all obstructions, all blockages, right? And it is like a very important anointing oil. Okay. Why frankincense? Kind of said it. She took my thunder away. Why where did my other notes? Why frankincense though? Got lost in my notes. Because frankincense is what was at that time burned in all the temples. So it was a sign of like a sacred place or a divinity. It's a sign of like a divine presence. What did you say for frankincense?
He was a priest. He said.
A priest, okay, yeah. So it's often considered, yeah, a sign of like kingship or priestliness. Yep. And then gold would be a symbol of alchemy, and again, the idea of the sun, right? The solar influence. Is what gold stands for, but also of nobility and kingship, right? What did you say?
Because he was the king.
King, okay. So I had a really much more elaborate writing on all that, and I think when I cut and paste so much stuff, I think I lost it. Trying to find it. Have to have it somewhere. Let me look at my other notes here. We'll leave it that, because we will do Myrrh next week, because it is a whole class in itself, and I really want to figure this plant out. Oh my gosh, there's so much about Myrrh. Okay, so we're gonna have a Myrrh. If everybody can try to experiment with Myrrh for next week, that would be really, really good. We're gonna cover myrrh and frankincense and galbanum. So we're gonna cover them as the herb and then also as the essential oil. So we're gonna do both. Okay, why galbanum? Why not, right? Let's just everything to that. It was the anointing oil at the time, even before frankincense, going way, way back. So we're just gonna lump them all in together and get a bunch of essential oils because they're really cool. Galbanum has the coolest smell. And last week, Victoria had made the homemade marshmallows that she took them home and your brother ate them all. Ate every single one. So
Me.
they're really good. They're really, yeah. There were quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so next week we'll cover that. We'll probably start venturing into. I want to probably do some more too.